Here we have a logo that we're going to pretend was just emailed to us by a client, and we need to render it in a digital format. And we're going to do the leaves first. So I'm going to lock that logo layer, create a new layer, and I'm going to name that leaves. When I'm zooming in here, I'm using the Control and Spacebar key to zoom in. I grab my pen tool, and I'm using pattern number 3. I want anchor points with just one control handle. Hold down the Control key so I can alter that path. I have that point, so I'm going to alter that a little bit more, but I want to continue, so drag from that point, let go, and I'm going to click on my first anchor point, holding the Control key down to get a selection tool. I alter that path. That looks pretty good. So now I'm going to do the bigger leaf with pattern number 3. Doesn't matter if you're off because you can grab that control handle, and you can see they're kind of hard to hit sometimes. But you can get it exactly where you want, and we want it right in the middle of that blue path there. And once again, pattern number 3, pull, and click on the final one. This one's pretty close, but it still needs to be altered a little bit. And I can move the anchor points, go back to a control handle. And I'm going to go ahead and name that path, save it and name it. I'm just going to call it leaves. What we're going to do here, each path will have a corresponding layer. And what I need to do here now is preset my fill and stroke. So I clicked on the foreground color with the eyedropper tool. I clicked on the stroke to get that color. Now we need the green, so I'm going to click on the background color swatch with the eyedropper tool. Click on that, and you notice I have 11 by 11 pixel average, which gives a pretty good average of the color most of the time. So I want to fill the path, and I want to choose background color. And there's our green. I want to stroke the path with our foreground color, which you have to set up ahead of time. And this path is 15 pixels, we're going to see here in a minute. I later changed it to 13, which was what the correct size. Right here, I believe I set it at 15. That was just a little big. And I'm going to go back and restroke that. And like I say, later I did change that to 13. And we use that size on the rest of the logo here too. So if I turn off the logo layer, this is what we've drawn so far, just the leaves. I'm going to turn that logo layer back on. And I'm going to go ahead and make a new layer. And I'm just going to call that pencil. And what we're going to do is create a path all around the entire pencil. And I'm using Control Spacebar to zoom in. Pen tool. And I want to use pattern 1, just click, move the mouse, click, it gives me a straight line. Control key to straighten that up a little bit. You don't have to straighten that now. We can do that later. And click, another straight line. Now pattern 3, drag off of the point to get one control handle. I'm way off there. But that's very easily fixable. You rarely get it perfect the first time, but it is so quick to fix and to get very accurate. I'm always using the Control key to access the Selector Tool to be able to move the anchor points or control handles. I zoomed in, pattern 1, and another pattern 1 here, just move and click. Control key, I'm moving that. And you might see that I accidentally moved that entire path. So I am going to have to go back and fix that. That happens once in a while. The main thing we're looking for here is we want to get our path right in the middle of the blue outline. And even though a mistake was made, it takes very little time really to correct that. And don't be afraid to zoom in to get very accurate about it. Once again, Control Spacebar to zoom in, Control Alt Spacebar to zoom out. Okay, we've got the path. Now we need to set some colors. Background, or the fill color, we're going to do orange. And this might not make much sense to you right now because we're going to fill this entire path. We will work that out later. And because we will have layers on top of this, we can block out all of that orange color to get the correct colors as we go along. Because we're working in our Photoshop Layers panel from bottom to top. Okay, so we have that our pencil, and then we turn our pencil off. Now we're going to do the highlight. And on this path, we're going to fill it, but we're not going to put a stroke on it. And I'm going to call this layer and path highlights. Remember, we're going to have a path for each layer. And to avoid confusion, we're going to name them the same. So I'm only concerned with the fill this time. And I do want to sample all layers. So with a color picker, I grab my color that I need. I make sure that I have the highlight layer and the highlight path selected. Grab my pen tool, click, move the mouse, and it looks like the straight line ends there, so I just click. Then I'm going to drag off that point to get one control handle. Just about nailed that one, just only a little bit of editing on that. Here too, I've got the points I need to drag off of that. And I'm going to click at the point where it looks like it becomes straight again. Control key to get a selector tool to alter that path. Click and click down here to get a straight line and drag from that point to get one control handle to complete our line. A little bit of alteration and that looks pretty good there. So with highlight path selected, we're going to fill that path with our background color. So there we go. And if we turn the pencil on, we can see we got the highlight above the pencil. Okay, now we're going to do those 3 shades of yellow going from the width of the full width of the pencil down to the point. So the right-hand one, I'm going to call point 1, the darker yellow color. And I'm making a corresponding layer to that. I want to click on my background color with the eyedropper tool. Okay, fill that. Now we're going to do something a little different because I'm looking ahead and I know that I'm going to have the very tip and also that horizontal squiggly line be on top of this. So I'm only really concerned with just really nailing, like right here, the sides just exactly correct. And we will cover up the extra colors later. I want to fill that with our background color. And we can see that the sides are correct, and that's the only thing I'm worried about. We'll cover up the extra top and bottom color. Create a new layer. I'm just going to call it point 2, and that will be the center mid-tone yellow. And also I'm going to create a path for that and name it the same thing. Click on my background color, use the eyedropper tool to get that color. And I both have the path and correct layer selected. Here too, I don't care if there's some excess color top and bottom. I just want to nail the sides. And you can see I just went right along there. And this will be covered. And here too, I want to be very careful to just go have those colors just really adjacent to each other, butting up to one another. Fill with background color. Okay. Now we're going to add a new layer and call that point 3 for the left-hand part here. And going to create a path for that also. And you know, right there I made a mistake. I didn't pick my colors first, but that happens, so we'll show how to fix that mistake. Here too, I'm only concerned about getting the sides correct. And I'm going to go fill it, but it'll be the color from the previous one, which I immediately notice, and I Control Z that. So now I go to the color picker and pick that correct color and fill that. So actually it's probably good that you see a mistake and see that it wasn't that big a deal. Okay, here's what we have drawn so far. And now we need to put in the point and also the squiggly, that right there, and also the point. So I'm going to select the top layer, create a new layer above that, and I'm going to call this edge. And that will be this line right there. Create its corresponding path. Grab the pen tool or the brush tool. What am I doing? What am I doing? Okay, foreground color, I click on that to get that color, which is the same color all the way around. And you can see now I do have the paintbrush size at 13 because I did determine that the first path stroke was a little bit too wide. Now I just want to follow this path. I'm using pattern number 3. And this time I'm just going to make all the paths first and then go back and correct them, just to show you that you can do that also. You don't have to correct everything as you go. Control key, grab a selector tool. Gradually change these a little bit, trying to hit just right in the middle of that drawn blue line. Move that anchor point down just a little bit. And this one we're going to put a path on, or we're going to put a stroke on, but no fill. We'll brush, and we want the foreground color. Okay, we've got that. We're going to add another path, and we're going to call this just point. That's going to be the point of the pencil. Add a new layer on top and give it a corresponding name. And this one, we're going to stroke it and fill it. So I'm going to click an anchor point. Pattern number 1, just click another one to get a straight line. And then pattern 2, drag, move the mouse, let go. Click another anchor point, and then just click on the bottom to get a straight line. That one I hit just about perfect. I'm not going to even change that. Okay, for the stroke, we're going to use the foreground color. That's always the default for that. See, turn that off and on. And for the fill, we're also going to use the foreground color. And when we start turning everything back on, you can see what we've done. We've made a logo.